Welcome to another episode of BrickBuzz. I know we've been missing in action for a while, but this time around we have come back to you with a very interesting discussion, which will be with Reidin, data analytics, and Asim, who is Capella Properties, talking about data and what's going on the field. So let's jump into the conversation and find out what are they talking about. Hello guys, how are you doing, Ozhan and Asim?
We're fine, Obaid.
Thank you very much.
In case you guys don't know, so that's Ozhan, Mr. Ozhan.
Ozhan.
He's with Reidin, and this is Mr. Asim Hussain with Capella Properties. So we're just going to ask him a few questions about real estate, of course, in Dubai, and what it means in the current climate. So,
first of all, thank you for having me here, and we've been missing your episodes, by the way.
Thank you so much.
We are following them, and that's a great added value, I believe, to the market.
Thank you.
And let's see if we can hit one within your channel.
So are you sure you're not the one who keeps on watching it again and again? I feel like too many people have watched
it. I have coders here.
If you're doing it, please keep on doing it.
Yeah, I did it. I told them to write a code, so a software, so they're continuously hitting your
Guys,
YouTube.
That's not how we get viewer views. Trust me. This discussion is going in another dimension. It's not how we get our views.
Okay, so moving on, we are going to. I'm going to ask a question to both of you, and of course, you both will have your own perception of it, and then we take it from there. So mainly, the first question that tackled my brain, and I'm sure the investors also have a similar concern, is what is the popular area that is trending at the moment in Dubai real estate? What are the numbers that are associated with it, and what are the key indicators that make it popular? So I want an answer which is from the data perspective, and then of course from the sales perspective. Yes.
Okay, there are two parts of this story basically. We look at it in both ready property sales and off-plan sales.
I agree.
Because the dynamics for these two parts are a bit different, especially when we look at the past year, this year, because of these payment plans. And of course, off-plan is too much related with the launches that these, especially big developers, are launching. So that area becomes a lot popular right now. For example, Mohammed bin Rashid City, Meydan area,
yes.
It is quite popular at the moment. When we look at the ready property sales, we look at where the most supply is coming from for ready properties. Marina is always doing great, for example, in terms of transactions by numbers.
Okay.
The price points are also good in Marina. And when we look at, for example, right now for the past quarter, I believe International City is doing amazing, for example. Downtown is doing good for the transactions for ready properties. But off-plan, as I said, right now mainly driven by the Mohammed bin Rashid City and the surrounding area. And whenever there's a new launch, it follows as well.
Okay, Asim, what is your take on this?
I would agree to whatever Mr. Ozhan has said. We have to understand there are two segments of the people who are investing in real estate in Dubai. One is the end user. Now, end user at times prefers a ready property. So, and then the choice of the property is not only dictated by the fact that what's the price point and what is going to be the ROI and what is going to be the ROFI, but it's more about what tickles their interest. Now, in this case, for example, Dubai Marina, JBR, which is a very nice choice for people. Downtown is again a choice destination for people. What's happening that because of the new price point adjustment in Dubai, a lot of people are taking benefit of it. If you want to invest in Dubai, this right now is the point in time when we need to take that decision. Previously, it could have been a thought, it could have been an idea, it could have been an idea which you have kept on the back burner, but right now you
make the move.
You make the move right now. The best point is, if you want to invest in long term, invest in an off-plan project. If you invest in an off-plan project, try and gain the maximum benefit from a property which is located in a master community. So once your property is completed, you have a capital gain which is compounded by when the property, the whole master community, sub-community, master community, all these things are developed, then you get the maximum benefit out of it. The
Which is what we were discussing in the morning today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of communities, especially as Mr. Ozhan said, in areas like District 1,
Yeah.
in areas like Sobha,
Yeah, which is all MBR, like you
which is MBR.
There's one point that Asim highlighted, and I totally agree. From the peak of 2013, there's been a drop down for the sales prices. We can say last year, Q4, the prices have been more or less stabilized, but there was a disconnection between sales prices and rent prices. So the rent prices were still going down. That made the sales prices further a little go down. And people are curious whenever we speak with people, especially end users, investors. They're a bit more curious, like, is it going to go down? Is it going to go up? What's going to happen? But the thing is, Asim pointed this really nicely. It is a really good time to buy properties. When you look at from an investor's perspective, there are two main things for people to invest in a country. One, stability in terms of economical, political stability, which we have here. That's great.
The main key.
Yeah,
That's one of the key factors.
Yeah.
definitely. And then number two, you look at a market where the market is low, because you want to join in that point. So when the market goes up, that you can make some capital gain.
So there's a crest and trough.
Right.
In real estate, it's all across the globe. There's a crest and there's a trough. So you actually have to ride the wave.
Right.
You can't go against the wave. You have to ride the wave. That's the first thing. The second very important point is a lot of our investors come back to us and tell us that Asim, the property is just being delivered. We see the rents are pretty down. We are not getting the maximum ROI, which is a return on investment for us. So what's the reason for it? Is the market really bad? I would like to add a certain point here. It's not about market being good or market being bad. You have to understand that the first year you are adding the price that you have paid for the property plus the transfer charges plus whatever the subsequent charges which are levied on that transfer. You're paying that and you are including that in the first year. That's the first thing. And understand, your property might be ready, the building might be ready, the sub community and the master community may or may not be ready.
It needs
because
to mature.
the whole community is not developed. So for the first year you might feel that pinch, but it's not going to be there throughout the cycle of the property. If you're talking about 5 years, 6 years plan, 7 years plan, it will not be there, and the subsequent rental gains are going to be increased. So we have to be cognizant of this fact.
Awesome.
That's correct.
Awesome. Moving on to the next question is about the ratio between off-plan and ready, which we have slightly touched on at the moment. But what does it say about the investor sentiment in terms of?
Let me say one thing. Last year, when we look at 2017, by number, the transactions, off-plan transactions outperformed the ready property transactions.
Right.
It was around 58% to 60% for off-plan to 40%. But when we look at the value, it was vice versa. So the value, of course, for ready property is higher than the off-plan property. But Q4 2017 and Q1 2018 was a little bit going down for the off-plan sales, which is normal, seasonal. Plus, it's all off-plan sales are based on new launches, basically. If Imar or big developers launch a new project, then the off-plan sales go up. But right now, when we see 2018, off-plan and ready properties by number are on par, like almost 50-50, I can say, by number. But by value, ready properties is covering as a total value is around 65 to 70% of the total value of the transactions. So, but the trend for off-plan, as we have seen for the second quarter onwards, it's again going up. That means there are opportunities with the off-plans, especially as Asim said, for the long-term investors. There's also one point that made the off-plan sales quite attractive to buyers is, of course, there's a 75% LTV in Dubai, which you can get maximum 75% of the loan for a property.
So when it gets ready.
And when you add the fees on it,
Yeah.
it comes to 30-31%. So
Right.
if you don't have that money,
Yeah.
even as an investor, as a small investor who lives in Dubai in a 2-bedroom apartment, and you want to invest for a 1-bedroom or a studio for a steady income, you can wait for a couple of years with investing less money to an off-plan property. And when the property is ready and handed over, there are post-payment plans attached to that, and you're even eligible for a mortgage at that time, which you almost pay the 30-35% of the property. So these are good opportunities either for investors and for end users as well. So we see this from this perspective by numbers.
And Asim, what is your take on the post-payment as opposed to mortgaging the property when it is ready to deliver?
Okay, a post-payment plan, a post-handover payment plan normally goes up to 3 to maximum for a duration of 3 years. In some very rare cases, it goes up to 5 years. So that means if you have to pay like 60% or 70% of the value, let's the transaction be $1 million dirhams. So 75% of that is going to be 750,000.
Yeah.
750,000 spread over 3 years is a pretty steep number. So it basically puts you in a hard place. So now, if you go for the mortgage, that is basically spread somewhere between 15 to 19, 21 years, and that gives you more room to maneuver, and you're more comfortable with your life in Dubai because you have that spread of time, and you can easily manage that. So that manageability is actually a key factor over here.
What is your, so is there an option for our overseas investors in terms of mortgage? Like, do you think it is something that can
Yes. Dubai, there are a lot of changes in Dubai real estate going on. You have to be cognizant of this factor that 2020, what is that going to bring us?
Right.
So people touch upon that topic, that what we perceive is, even if just 10% of the people,
Yes.
I'm just talking about a very, very reserved, very, very conservative figure, which is 10% of the people, they plan to stay back and consider Dubai either as the principal base of operation or a secondary base of operation. Now, we are talking about 2 million, 2.5 million to 3 million people.
Yeah.
Okay. Each individual is going to form a business setup over here. They are not going to be alone. They're going to have a team of people who are going to come here. So just consider that number. Now, this number is not only based on 2020. You come to Dubai during 2020, you see the environment, you see the geopolitical environment over here. You said, yes, this is my desired base of operation. That influx of people would go to 2021 and 2022. So that influx, substantial influx, and then there's going to be a snowball effect over it. That's going to take Dubai into a whole different dimension.
Just to mention that this is something I read recently about Siemens. They have shifted their logistical headquarter from Germany to Dubai South.
Dubai South,
Yeah,
yes.
so that is like, I mean,
It's a huge investment they're doing.
that,
They're huge. And there are a couple of multinational companies, MNCs, who are shifting the base of operation because of the... Now, this is being... Dubai government is very cognizant of this factor. They are giving and they are providing certain leverages to the companies, to small scale companies, to startups, to basically, if you are looking to invest and looking to form a base of operation, they are giving you certain leverages. The new visa rules, the company setup costs, everything is being looked by Dubai government very, very critically, and wherever they can provide a benefit to an individual who would consider this, they are doing it. So I think that continuous change.
That's a very important point.
Hands-on approach.
Definitely. The government of Dubai is looking at real estate on a different phase than many other countries.
Right.
The importance of real estate here is much more than many other countries. Number one. Number two, the support from government for several sectors, either for new startups or the existing ones, they're trying to support them with several things like lowering down their costs, making their operations more effective within the area, for them to stay, for them to bring more people in the area. Because for Dubai, quality population is important. We need population.
Yeah, we do.
But quality population is important. I mean, opening the borders and letting everybody in will, of course, will not be a good solution for Dubai, because of the security. The things that we love to be in Dubai, the things that we love to invest in Dubai. But taking these steps to encourage new companies and supporting the current ones is a definitely good move, I can say.
Compared to last year, this time, Ozhan, what is there an increase in transaction value, or is there a decrease, and what is the outcome based on?
I can say the numbers are going around maybe 3% up, 2% down.
Right.
So more or less we can say stable. Several seasonalities are attached to it, like summer, pre-summer, post-summer, Ramadan period. These kind of periods are, of course, I mean, we know them. But the ready property sales, when we look at on a macro level, the villa transactions by ticket price is doing better than the apartments.
Because the price has become really...
It's become more affordable.
Yeah, two-bedroom townhouses. People have the luxury to live in a private area with more affordable prices. So these new developments with new types, I can say, is really giving energy. And there's one in the Meydan, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid city, this area, affordable units that really gave a good energy to the real estate market, I can say. By number, by hype, these are doing good. Ready property sales are by number, by value, more or less stable, I can say.
My question to you would be that, taking further from what Ozhan has said, that in terms of the villa communities and a good ticket price, what communities do you think are trending right now?
His perspective is very pertinent in this respect. I'll just add one thing over here. Ozhan's portal, Reidin, is a very fascinating portal.
It is, yes.
I mean, he downplays it a bit. He's very humble about it. But when you go on systems like these and look at the larger picture, look at how the things are transpiring. So Reidin as a portal gives you that insight that you can have micro level insight into individual areas, into sub communities, master communities, and then a whole chunk of location. For example, Dubai South, it's not just a community, it's a collection, it's a massive, it's a small scale city. It's a small scale city. So by just going through and studying what's happening on Reidin, you get a lot of insight. As far as the transaction and this, I think Dubai South, District 1 Meydan, Dubai Land, these are the areas where we see a lot of movement of properties. Townhouses are becoming affordable day by day. At one point in time, if you had 2 million, you were probably contemplating of
A one-bedroom in
a
downtown.
1-bedroom in downtown,
Yeah.
or a 2-bedroom in Marina,
Yeah.
a 3-bedroom in JLT.
Yeah.
Right now, for 2 million, you get a 3-bedroom plus maid room, very nice, even a corner townhouse in Dubai land area. Dubai Properties is there, Nishama is there, Emar has certain projects there, Demac certainly has projects there. Because of this massive competition, it has benefited the end user and the investor both, because they have more choices. They have, Emar has come up with certain very attractive, not only payment plans. Now, payment plans, flexibility of payouts post completion, and now even the service charges.
Yes.
So everything is now coming together. Everything, who is the most beneficiary out of it? The beneficiary is the end user and the person who's going to invest on a long-term basis in Dubai.
And Dubai, of course.
In Dubai. And Dubai, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so with the increased number of supplies of the units at the moment, as we all know, do you think the rental yield is going to shrink further? Because Dubai is known for the fact that it has, compared to like New York or London or Hong Kong, any other big community, cosmopolitan city, Dubai was known for the fact that it gave the best yields. So what is your take on that?
As I mentioned, the sales prices and rent prices are a little bit disconnected here. And since the rentals are still going down, it pulled the sales prices a little down, and this is the reaction of the market. So the supply, especially for the next 2 years, before Expo 2020 event, there's a good supply coming to the market.
Yes.
We know that.
Yeah, we know that.
And when there's more supply, as a nature of business, this rent prices will further go down.
Yes.
Here, there's one point you mentioned, and it's a very important point. The yields here are very attractive.
Yes.
The cost of money is good, which I mean the mortgage, the interest rates. When you buy a property and you lease it, you rent it, the income you generate is covering your mortgage.
Yes.
That's important.
Yes.
Because of that, even though the rentals will further go down, which I need to say one important thing here as well. When we look at the market as a whole, it's fundamentally much more stronger than ever before, with the escrow accounts that are both ways, protecting the end users, buyers, investors, by the escrow accounts and the regulations, the guarantee from the developer to the government, and so on.
Checks and balances.
And the LTV kind of regulations, which might be a stress on the buyer, but as a financial ecosystem, it protects. So, when we look at that perspective, we see, even though the rentals will go down, the market is healthy. That's number one and very important. And there's a balance between the rentals and sales prices. So the yields will be more or less stable. This is at least what we see with the data.
Awesome.
We have to understand that right now we're very hands-on with computers and smart gadgets and everything. So we have a tendency of copy and paste, and we can generate 100 copies, 200 copies in about 2 minutes. Unfortunately, in real estate, the construction takes time. So if we talk about 2020, and we've been talking about, I wish we had a fairy which has a magic wand and just swept the wand.
You have it as well, but I'm keeping for Reidin.
I'm sure I just saw it on your table. I'm going to steal that by the end of the day.
No problem.
So what happens that it takes time for a community to develop. 5 to 7 years is a time when master communities come to full circle.
Yes.
Agree?
Yes.
You'll agree with the point. 5 to 7 years. When the 5 to 7 years will start and end, during that time, you will have these crest and troughs of rents becoming more. So we were talking about this, that it takes 5 to 7 years for a community to fully come into shape, to have all things operational, to have the jogging park, the cycling tracks, the community centers, the master community as a whole living, breathing ecosystem comes to life within 5 to 7 years. 5 years is now what we see with certain smart communities. It takes time from day zero till the end of this 5 years. So if we start in 2016 or 17, which we saw that Dubai was very cognizant that how it's going to handle this. So each passing day, the road network, the power infrastructure, the public transport system,
Yes.
all elements of a beautiful city, we see them taking shape each passing day, and that is going to not only culminate, but that 2020 I think is going to be a stepping stone, and after that we have Dubai as a city is going to evolve further. But it takes time. We have to understand that it's not, and the maturity of the market is that the curve we see over here is a very, very steady curve. If you have,
It's not volatile.
It's not volatile. If the rise in for example prices and rent is exponential, it has to be linear. If it's linear, it's sustainable. If it's exponential, it's going to crash. So now the maturity in the market which we see, and which is amply highlighted by Reidin as well. This is going to actually boost and enhance the customer confidence in the whole system. Dubai Land Department is taking a lot of measures, a lot of pain in trying to ensure that the system is very, very stable. The whole Dubai real estate market is becoming more and more stable each and every day. That's my take on it.
Great. Thank you so much, guys, for your precious time and your infinite knowledge. We hope to continue this in the near future again. On that note, I will take my leave. I will also suggest that you guys like this video. Please give us your feedback if you want to see Mr. Ozhan again and again every month. And of course, Mr.
I would like to see him. I would like to see him.
So yes, I mean, give us feedback. We're looking forward to it. And from here, I sign off. Obaid, Fattah, Capella Properties.
Thank you.
Thank you.